Any questions from council? Okay, do I have a motion for the purchase of one new way front-loaded refuse body with compressed natural gas system in an amount of $130,253.55?
Motion to approve item 6.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Jason, do we have any kind of revenue projections on these? Projections, isn't this the, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong truck, I'm sorry.
These are refuse.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, my mistake, I got the wrong truck in my head.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 7, consideration of a motion for the purchase of one compressed natural gas powered refuse cab and chassis to Peach State Trucks in the amount of $143,180 via price extension.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8 is a consideration of a motion to approve a professional engineering services contract to Hussey Gay Bell & Young, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $63,562 for the design, surveying, and permitting services for the water main replacements of Van Avenue between East Main Street and Gentile Road from 2013 SPLOST funds. I'm going to ask City Manager Robert Cheshire, please tell us why that is so much money.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. If you'll recall at the last council meeting, you did approve entering into negotiations for a contract with Hussey Gay Bell & Young. We did that. The number you see before you tonight is $63,562 for their contract for the water sewer design, the improvements that you see there on the agenda item. The reason it's $63,562, of that number, $29,000, nearly $30,000 is for surveying, which I want to note is for a local surveying company. So their contract is more in the ballpark of $33,000, which is very similar to the contract that was approved for Parker Engineering at the previous council meeting. And the surveying for this will not only be for the Hussey Gay & Bell to utilize for the water sewer design, but it also will be utilized by Parker Engineering for his street improvement design. So I've reviewed it, took part in the negotiations. I think the contract is good, and it would be my recommendation as well to approve item number 8.
Any questions from council? Okay, do I have a motion to approve item 8?
Move to approve item 8.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion 8 passes. Motion number 9 is consideration to approve a Microsoft license agreement on state contract with Dell Computer Corporation. I think Bryant has some things he'd like to say regarding this.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Every 3 years, Microsoft license agreement contract renewal. Last year, we had 125, or the last agreement we had 125 licenses. The renewal for the next 3 years will be 250 devices. We've had considerable growth in the computer network and also we're bringing this home. So our price on this has gone from roughly about $32,000 a year. And I have a soft quote for this new agreement, and it will be paid right at $85,000 a year. I would like to go before you guys and also tell you that I did budget for this increase. I budgeted $70,000, so about $15,000. Surprised me by about $15,000, but for speaking with the city manager today, we want to delay projects and make sure that everything comes out before we leave. I have some scrap projects that I was going to add some additional storage this year. So I want to delay that and make sure that we move the costs the way that it should. This is an agreement with Microsoft once again to make sure that we are licensed and doing business on the computer, with our computer network in a legal manner. As I was going to tell Robert, is what it is. I've had some discussions and we are looking at some creative ways to maybe alleviate our having to rely on Microsoft so much. But as of right now, this is kind of what I did bring this forward. So I would like to, because I have a soft code of $84,862, I would like to ask that maybe we put with this consideration not to exceed $87,000 in case there's anything. I asked the Dell rep if there should be any surprises. He said there should be none. But I don't want to go back before you if there's something that pops up. Any questions?
That's per year or?
This is a 3-year per year package.
So we'll pay $250,000 for licensing.
It's like $340 a unit, is that right? And that's for 3 years? So basically $113 a year or something like that, per unit. Okay.
No, this is $83,000.
Oh, a year. I thought you said over a 3-year period. What did I miss?
The contract's for 3 years.
But it's a,
Contract with,
So the price, in other words, they don't gouge us for more money for 3 years.
$250,000.
yes.
Yeah, I don't work in every department, so I don't know how you slash it, but.
I bought Microsoft stock in 1998. I just, go ahead, Robert. I just,
I did, when Brian brought this to me, I did challenge him pretty hard to, number one, can we chop something, as the councilman alluded to. And he assured me that he had looked at everything, and again, it is what it is. But the second thing I challenged him with was that this would not be approval of an additional $15,000 necessarily. I'd be looking at him to come up with those dollars somehow within his existing budget to make that work and to notify me if that was not happening. So, although yes, you are approving $15,000, I'm challenged him to come up with that on the back end to find other things to compensate for that. I can't really speak to the technicality of it on the whether it's a good product or not, but I will assure you that it's definitely needed and it's good company, and we find those things out when we're down and then we're all suffering.
I will say that this does, there's 2 schools of thought. If you want this, it will have 5 minutes. You can buy them all at the beginning, but you run the risk of not keeping all your software up to date. And you really break even. You're going to pay this cost one way or the other. This affords us to keep everything on the latest software, on the latest security patches. So it does help the IT department. And it does help us gain some efficiencies because we can create images and really not necessarily have to write things. It does achieve some efficiencies that you this next every year. So we'll look at some creative ways to maybe, like I said, cut down on our reliance on Microsoft license.
So how many employees do we currently have?
We have 300.
So
We have
So 5 to 6 of our employees have a computer.
our access to it.
And I can name 5 of them that don't.
But you also,
Either or not name. We don't have a license.
but you also have classrooms and employee centers, and those all count towards this. lot of devices. And then,
Bring your own
and
laptop.
Windows here, I don't want to pick on, but we have to pay for the MDTs, we have to license those that are in the car, and then some of those officers come in and they have a workstation. So there's,
Yeah, eliminate that.
well, there's
It's not their personal work. It's a workstation.
I mean, it's a workstation area, but there are, and so you've got a lot out there that you don't realize.
But I would go ahead and say we also have a lot out there that are being very underused. Like computers that do very little work. If you're telling me 250 of 300 employees have to be licensed, and I use a computer a lot, and I'm not on that number. So I'm just saying, there's probably people in this room that are like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll use Wayne. Wayne can use Vans. Van can use Wayne. Wayne can my computers. So I mean, I'm just saying we could. I'm just saying, and I don't know if that doesn't mean you come up with some sort of creative way of having, we have, this is a pod, and when you're ready to utilize the network and utilize what we've got, you go to computer desk.
Yeah, but even if you eliminate 25 computers, you're only talking about $7,000,
Well,
$8,000. Still 70,
125.
that's never gonna happen.
They're licensed.
Brian, can I ask a dumb question? My Microsoft license is $99 for 5 computers per year, unlimited. I got everything, Publisher, Word, whole 9 yards. Why can't we do that per department? It's $100 a year, you get 5. You get 5.
This
And
isn't
that's
about
not even
Microsoft
counting
Word,
the
though.
iPad or the iPhone or anything else.
This,
So I don't understand. We can license 5 devices for $100 a year.
That's Microsoft Office.
Okay.
All right, and we're talking Microsoft, or Windows 8. We're talking Microsoft Office. We're talking our server infrastructure. We're talking 250 remote desktop
right.
applications. And so when you break it down per device, I think it comes to roughly $340 estimated. So we're getting pretty close to your $100.
I mean, I'm just asking because whenever I buy a computer, I use 7 or 8 or whatever's on there at the damn time.
If I can translate from the computer guys to the bankers, it's a difference between enterprise level software and small business software. He's running SQL servers, he's running mail servers, he's running information servers, IIS. These are high level products that 95% of the people that sit down here will never touch and have no idea how to use. So this is not about, as much as we joke, it might be about Microsoft.
95% of these because
They're using the back end, but they don't.
Some are using.
They're using the back end, but they don't have any idea that they're not touching it. It's all the back end stuff. This is not just Microsoft Word.
I mean, once again, I'm not.
It's enterprise. It's difference between enterprise level and.
Once again, Phil, why I said I'm prefacing this with a dumb.
No.
I understand that, but I don't understand how if you can do a multi-license for something as trivial as Microsoft Office, why can't we do it? I don't understand what the $83,000.
What's your SQL Server license cost? Do you have any idea? Do you have that program?
SQL Server, in anticipation of the new software, we upgraded to 2 SQL servers with those 10,000.
Per each or
Well, no.
Combined. so $5,000 a year just for that one server?
And each line item, Office Pro Plus, $141 per person. Now, we do have some that have been upgraded the existing customers, all those that's upgraded.
So Brian, in your infinite wisdom, at this point, this is the product we need at this time. To be determined going down the road. Would that be accurate? Okay.
with some nice little stickers on front of we do our fire software. This is,
I'll make you that sticker for $250,000. And I'll pirate it off to somewhere else and I'll need it.
We didn't hear that.
this is,
Alvin, do you advise us making statements like that?
Please no.
this is.
We got
this is
an
a recommendation. This
hour and a
is-
half.
This does hit my budget, so
So don't-
My recommendation.
Yeah, so don't ask you for any upgraded equipment this year, is that correct, Mike?
That may be what you hear.
Okay, all right. In that case, do I have any other questions from council? We could, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna say it, never mind. Do I have a motion to approve the Microsoft license agreement, which will be approximately $85,000 this year and 2 years going forward?
3 years.
Well, this year and the 2 years.
Okay.
For a total of 3 years.
So moved with a ceiling of 87,000.
Second. Any discussion?
Per year, I guess. After that.
You're saying 87?
Yes, he asked for not to exceed 87,000, so if you would include that with the motion.
I have a soft quote, so in case there, I don't want it to be $85,000.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's about time for Phil's break. All right, I was thinking we were running a little bit long on that. Item number 10, consideration of a motion to approve the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding and resolution 2014-25 in support of an application for Georgia Department of Economic Development Tourism Agreement Grant to benefit the Statesboro Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm going to ask City Manager Robert Cheshire to speak to this and then have someone from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Is that going to be you, Darren, to speak after that, if that's okay? Come on up.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start it off. The reason it's before you, council, is not only for support of the memorandum of understanding and also the resolution, but also as per the city's grant process requires that since this particular one will run through the city, and by that I mean we will help administer the grant and we will also, disperse, assist with the dispersal of the grant funds should it be awarded. Council would need to approve staff working on that and being part of the grant application process. I mean, Mr. Fantastic can also explain more of what the actual grant is for.
In my capacity as president of the Statesboro Convention and Visitors Bureau, just a little background. In efforts to promote tourism in Georgia, there are two divisions within the Georgia Department of Economic Development: the Office of Tourism, Product Development, and the Georgia Council for the Arts. The CVB and the Georgia Southern University Museum are actually applying for this grant to complete the exhibition portion of the new visitor center. It's really the first time we collaborated with the CVB, the City of Statesboro, the museum, the Georgia Southern, and the Georgia Southern History Department. So we're really pleased about that unique partnership going forward. I think you got a little blurb there in your packet about it for some more information, which I can speak to if you'd like. It's about a $20,000 grant. Well, it is a $20,000 grant to match for the city. The city's match portion is going to be from work that the city's already assisted with that new with the new building itself. And of course, it's allow the city to add a new attraction and promote all the good things about the Statesboro County. I think we're very pleased with the city. All good to go. If you have any questions, I'm certainly here for you.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Item number 11. Council notification regarding letter of support given by the City of Statesboro in regards to the One Georgia Authority grant application being submitted by the Development Authority of Gulf County, of Beachy Technical College, and Georgia Southern. University, for the University Fab Lab Innovation Center. I want to ask, and then I'll put my mouth. Do I ask Robert to speak to that briefly, and then ask Benji Thompson if he would come forward as well.
Yeah. Primarily, again, this is before you. I don't know that we're going to ask necessarily for a vote of any type unless you feel it's necessary to support a letter or to go along with a letter of support for this. I'll probably just go ahead and turn it over to Benji because I know he can explain what's happening with this. It's a good sound and sounds like a solid grant application. I hope we get it.
We do too. Thank you, Mr. Cheshire. We feel the same way. Thank you, Mayor Moore, Council and staff for the chance to speak to you about this grant. As a point of information tonight, please allow me to direct you to, I think, page 36 in your packet for tonight's meeting. The Development Authority of Bullitt County is serving as the applicant for a One Georgia Equity Grant to support what we're calling the Statesboro Bullitt Regional Career and Workforce Training Initiative. This initiative will combine the efforts of Georgia Southern's Fab Lab Business Incubator Project and EGTEC's Industrial Maintenance and Manufacturing Skills Training Program to provide workforce training and support for both high-tech skills and manufacturing skills. We believe that this will put our community and the region in a unique position to bring more and better jobs to the Statesboro Bullitt County community and to our region. Tonight's information that you have in your packet that we're sharing tonight is not a request for any new or additional commitments from the city. You all have already committed quite a bit to the downtown work that Georgia Southern is doing. We are asking for a letter of support from the city, and I think that we've given a draft letter to the staff for that. And we also want to be sure that you've received this information tonight if you have a chance to ask any questions of me. I also have with me tonight Dr. Charles Patterson of Georgia Southern University here available for questions as well. And finally, I'd like to thank the council and city staff for the opportunity as we speak to this application for the leadership and commitment that the city and the city council has shown for the city campus, the Fab Lab, and the Business Incubator Project. There is no doubt that these efforts will have huge positive impacts for downtown Statesboro and the community at large. I can tell you the state economic developers have taken notice of what's going on in our town, and they've noticed the possibilities they bring for economic development and economic growth for the community. So we're proud to be a part of that and support this community-wide effort. I'm glad to take any questions on that.
I think in addition to what Mr. Thompson said, really two things. And one, just like the prior grant application that we did looking at for the Statesboro Visitors Convention, the Convention Vision Bureau, be the fact that we've already got the money. The city doesn't have any more money in it than we've already committed. And then also in this one, I think Georgia Southern is committed to fill a gap for some additional needs in there as we go along with the equipment and all. And I appreciate that. I think that's real good on the part.
I believe that's true, and another point to make related to that is that on the manufacturing side of this training program, multiple private industry partners and development parties have committed quite good funds to that part of the training program as well. So this is really a community-wide effort. It goes across the spectrum, I think, for workforce development. We're really excited about the possibility.
I don't think I have any questions. The only question I would like to ask Alvin on this is a lot of times that we have submitted letters of support for a grant. Is that something that would require council approval?
I don't see the harm in it.
Okay, I just want to make sure the protocol is right. So do I have a motion to issue a letter of support from Statesboro, City of Statesboro City Council and Mayor for this grant?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Can you make note of that? See, that wasn't on the agenda to be motion. All right, we'll move to, we've already addressed item 13 earlier in the meeting, so we'll move to item 14, which is other business from City Council.
12.
Excuse me. Did I miss 12? Well, I have to put on my glasses. All right, that's 12. Thank you. All right, item 12, consideration of a motion to authorize the mayor and city manager to execute an engineering services contract with Hussey Gay Bell and Beyond to complete the design and bidding of the sewer line segments 4 and 5 as shown in the Kiwanis Railroad Bed and Burkhalter Road area water and sewer extension master plan with a budget of $450,000, which includes engineering, construction, and contingencies. Water sewer has $1.4 million in CIP for water and sewer extensions in this area, and I would ask for Mr. Wayne Johnson to come up and introduce this item to council.
Thank you, Mayor. First, let me apologize for some miswording. This is what happens when you try to do some things when you're on vacation. It should actually read consideration of a motion to authorize the mayor and city manager to negotiate an engineering services contract
Thank you.
with Hussey Dale Young to complete the design of and bidding of sewer line segments 4 and 5 as shown in the Tawana Railroad bed and Burkhalter Road area water sewer extension master plan, period. And establish a budget of $450,000, which includes engineering, construction, and contingencies, period. Water and sewer has $1.4 million approved in the CIP for water and sewer extension in this area.
Okay.
So then once you and Robert and I would suggest Van negotiate an engineering, if you're agreeable with that, would then come back to this council. This would also establish the budget for that project to include the construction and everything.
Is that 450? Is that included in the 1.4? Is that what that says?
The 1.4 is just a lump sum that was
Set
approved in the
aside.
CIP to be used in this area depending on where development began first. So the 450,000 would come off of the 1.4 million that's approved in the budget.
And that's the CIP for fiscal year 2015. Is that correct, Wayne? Okay.
And what brought this about, the property adjacent to where our current sewer pump station and water and sewer extension are going has already been annexed into the city, and developers are ready to move forward with that. And this would be the master sewer outfall line that the city would put in, and then the developer would do all the internal lines within their project and do everything within normal master plan. The reason I'm suggesting that negotiations be done by Mr. Cheshire and you and Robert, is Mr. Cheshire, now city manager, is an engineer and has maybe different philosophies on how you negotiate these contracts with an engineering firm from what I was taught, and he did a real good job on the last one. I would refer to his wisdom on that.
Okay. Y'all have any questions?
I'm trying to look at the diagram up there. That's the same maps that you gave me with
Yes.
the entire Corn Road project.
Don't shout it in there.
I can't get my light to work.
$83,000 a year, we can get one.
That's software, not hardware.
That's somebody else can figure it out.
Somebody Google $83,000 pointer.
I've got my cheap one. Let's try this.
No, like I said, that's software, not hardware. Software, not hardware.
$19. All right.
There you go.
Go back to the sewer map. Right. All right. This is
Expansion.
the subdivision. This is the school. This is the railroad bed road up here.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently putting the pump station in. The sewer line will go along. Yeah, there you go. There's the pump station that we're currently putting in. We're extending the lines underneath the wetlands.
That's at the ditch right there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And what this would do is pick up from this point and bring this sewer down, bring this sewer up to the road and under the wetlands here, so that then that property can develop as
Show the
future.
property that's developing, Wayne, excuse me, kind of outline it with your,
It right in there. It's on the school side of Railroad Bed Road. It comes in behind the Bradford Place subdivision.
okay, so that kind of that triangle right
That
there.
triangle area, and they've also purchased this land, but as that develops in the future, if the city has funding, the whole concept of this is these red lines you see are where the master outfall lines would eventually need to go. As the developer goes to develop adjacent to where we already are, then we will recommend to the council that funding is available, that the city put the master line in, and then all the developer has to do all the interior lines and bring it to that master line. So each project has to come back before the city to make sure funding's available. We're just not just that we're gonna go out and spend $5 million on sewer lines until the developer's ready to do that funding. Now, if the developer wants to jump out further, instead of starting where we stop, then under current city policy, it's the developer's responsibility to put those master lines in to get where we get.
Yeah, the one thing about this, and I'm not, in this particular motion, I think it falls in line with what has been agreed to this point. But I went back and kind of looked at this area and looked at the sewer map out here, the proposed lines, and I had some concerns going beyond this, and I'm just going to state what they are and make a suggestion, which is, you know, this area was set up as a capital cost recovery district within city-county intergovernmental agreement, which we all kind of ignored. Would that be fair? Now, when I say we, I mean city-county.
Yes, ma'am.
Ignored. I'm not saying that the city just chose to ignore it. And so there are things attached to this area and guidelines that were established by the Coastal Regional Commission, which we've kind of ignored, pretty much. And so as we go through this process, and I'm not saying that we don't run sewer out here, I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying we need to be cognizant of agreements that we have and look into this whole area and reassess where we are, because I'm kind of thinking that as we spend the amounts of money that we're spending to go out there, we're also not able to spend that money or portions of that money for infrastructure here in the city, infrastructure repairs. And I know that we've had a couple of significant repairs we had to do
Yes, ma'am.
this year. And I guess I'm kind of looking at the bigger picture here. This is just an opportunity to say we probably need to stop and look at the big picture here going forward.
In that regard, this money that this is budgeted from cannot be used for those repairs. This is bond money. And
Okay.
the projects that were going to be funded with the bond money, there was a list of projects that far exceeded the amount of money we're going to have.
Okay.
Okay, and the council approved all that, and so this is bond money. Now, every year we have money set aside out of SPOS that's dedicated to those emergency repairs you're talking about, and money set aside to extend services into unserved areas. So,
You see, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. But I go back to, in addition to that, like you said, I understand. There was an overlay plan on this area. And we've kind of just sort of ignored it. And as to what the development will be, and I'm going to ask, because I asked Robert about this and said, what exactly was that? You know, can you kind of touch, all I'm asking for at this point is before we go beyond what we're approving tonight,
right,
I would like for council to look at this area and say, stop, what is,
right, well,
are we adhering to what we should be adhering to?
if I can enlighten you a little bit there.
Okay.
The original concept when Mr. Wood put all this together, the council at that time defined this area that they wanted to see the city grow in. At that time, they wanted it to grow at an R15 density with primarily single-family dwellings with limited commercial retail. And Mr. Wood proposed and put forward the capital cost recovery fee concept, where you put it in and then you recover money out of fees from developers, and it's a pretty convoluted formula in Cheshire. Then the agreement was entered into between the city and the county, the intergovernmental agreement you're referring to. There was one phase in there that was some additional studies or plans that were to be done. That has never been done. And
Is that what the CRC folks asked me about? Is that where the plans haven't, because when I spoke with them on another issue, this was part of the discussion. So would that be what you're
Yes,
referring to?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
I just want to be clear that
yeah, I
okay.
think, I forget, I marked it for Councilman Brett the other day. I think it was paragraph 7. in that agreement, that called for some different studies and some different plans like you're talking about.
Okay.
Basically, just said, when we do something, we tell them, we talk to them, when they do something, they tell us.
Right.
It's clear we're not doing it. Neither one of us are playing anything.
And now, in the interim, since all that's gone about, developers have annexed some of this land in. And under previous, under Mr. Parker, and the concept there went from an R15 type development to a higher density development. So, you know, that's something that the council controls on that. To this point, we've expended close to $3 million to put the main infrastructure in there. We have gained Aspen Heights, which tied into the first aspect of this. It's a nice commercial development out there that's tied in. And so now we're putting in the pump station, which serves, this opens up 600 some odd acres for future development and annexation into the city by gravity. So it's entirely council's decision. You know, I wasn't, when the property owners annexed certain pieces of property in, there were, I'm not going to say commitments made, but it was promoted to them that if they annexed these pieces of property in, that the city would see that service was available. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay, well, it kind of sounds like to me then that it probably isn't a bad thing to get some clarity regarding the area itself. Now, insofar, I go back to the motion tonight, that's not including that. I mean, that's been planned for and budgeted for and all of those things. But beyond that, it sounds like to me what I'm hearing you say is that we just need to get some clarity so the developers understand, because it sounds like, I think your words were promoted.
Yes, ma'am.
That we just need to
To
make sure that we're all on the same page.
Is council and county commission need to sit down together and go back and have Alvin. Alvin was not here at the time this was done. The thing that's confused me or caused me heartburn all along is, do we have an intergovernmental agreement or don't? You know, and you know, because if we're going to spend millions of dollars to put the basic infrastructure in, the main sewer and trunk lines, is the county going to honor their commitment to not rezone property within this area that then negates it being connected to the city system and developing as part of the city?
And I agree. I mean, that's part of, I mean, we've got three things going on here. We've got the city-county situation. We've got the CRC going, what are you doing? And you know, obviously that's a big investment in an area that clearly looks like it's going to develop. So to me, it's more a function of just getting our ducks in a row,
Yes, ma'am.
more than anything else. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That highlight a whole lot of stuff.
Okay.
Am I missing something? What ducks are not in what row?
Well, I think Wayne just said, we've got an intergovernmental agreement with the county that nobody's honoring. The Coastal Regional Commission.
Okay, you're saying nobody's honoring. What specifically are we not honoring? What's the problem?
The county is rezoning property in that area without talking with the city, and I don't know if we're doing. I would suggest the councilman need to sit down with Alvin and go over that agreement in detail and see if this council wants to continue on with that agreement.
I mean,
if you do, then you need to sit down with the county, and the city and the county either agree to finish the agreement and include what the coastal county.
The Coastal Regional Commission.
So that both the city and the county are on the same page.
I mean, I think one of the things, you tell me if I'm wrong, that you're referring to, I mean, you've got private water developers that want to go out there and put in systems, but if we put a system in to a point, then they're beholden to hook into it, and that's at the other end, and the county's zoning property to allow them to do that, but you know, at the same time, we're running lines out there.
That's correct.
Potentially, I mean, explain, because I have the simplistic overview of sewer, and I know that sewer can be very complicated. Sewer and water, so tell me, am I missing something in that? Okay.
The key as far as private water systems go is under the Safe Drinking Water Act, under the Georgia Environmental Protection Treaty. A community wants to put in a private water system, you have to get a permit to install and operate the water system. There is a provision there that if a government water system is available within, and what we've always been told is a mile. I'm trying to find that in writing, but within a reasonable distance, and the government entity is willing to allow the developer to extend the government water system totally at the developer's cost to the city standards and deed it over to the city, that EPD shall not issue a community water system permit, because they don't want, they don't want all these little permits if they don't have to. So it's not the city that's stopping it. The city is under no obligation to extend water lines outside the city limits of the city of Statesboro. So at any point, this council, I have to write a letter when they're doing that application for a water permit that either says, yes, we're this far from the city water main and the city is willing to allow you to connect the city system under our standard water sewer agreement, blah, blah, blah. That developer then has the right to come to this city council and say, I don't want to be on city water. Will the city council vote to not allow me or to not furnish me water? And this council then, you'll remember Mr. Stubbs, we had the same situation on Highway 24. And he came before the council and said, I don't want city water. And the council at that time said, no, we're going to stay with our standard policy. You know, the two things that concern me on not staying with our current policy is if we let these community water systems continue to permit around the perimeter of the city of Statesboro, we're going to be landlocked where we cannot grow. Okay? Because then they're getting the benefits of all the fire protection and everything else. The other thing is, you're going to get a certain number of these which are quality systems, but from a fire protection standpoint, they are substandard. And if we get too many of those substandard systems within our 5-mile fire district, we could possibly lose our ISO rating and go to a higher ISO rating, because the water supply is 40% of the criteria on your ISO rating. So landlocking the city and losing that fire protection system are concerns. The council can use the water and sewer, especially the sewer, to direct the growth of the city. Because without city sewer, you're limited on how dense you can develop. And, you know, if you want to continue to have 25,000 square foot lots, then you don't need sewer. But if you want to get to a denser lot, which increases the tax base, it increases the cost efficiency, you've got more taxpayers per mile of road that you're maintaining, you've got more taxpayers per mile of road that the police are patrolling, then you want to be at a higher density. So.
Okay. All right, I'm going to ask for a motion, but before I do that, I do want to ask council that maybe not right this minute, but that we consider in the next month or two, looking at that area as a whole, and ask Alvin to look at that agreement and see where he thinks we are with that and what we need to do insofar as moving forward with additional, because I agree with you, Wayne, that if we're going to spend the money to run it, we got to make sure we're running something that's going to be viable.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, that's just being good stewards of the taxpayers' money.
We have the property between Aspen Heights and Water Road that is being seriously considered overdeveloped. And Aspen Heights was required to extend the road over to that property line. So I think that area is fixed to explode. So the economy keeps going the way it is, hopefully it's gonna help us. But I think you're right, we need to know exactly where we are.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to authorize the mayor and city manager to enter into that services agreement with engineering services agreement with Hussey Gay Bell and Young as stated?
Negotiate.
To negotiate, yeah. To negotiate, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Coming off of vacation.
Yes, ma'am. You're not mine. And go back.
You ain't going back.
And go back, yes, ma'am.
Item 14 is other business from city council. Alvin, you wanted to mention the work session on the alcohol ordinance?
I believe we're still having a work session on August 5th, 2014. I believe the concept was the licensees would be invited to that meeting. I don't know how we're going to get the word out to them. I'm going to try and sit down and take the ordinance that was presented at the last work session, take the minutes from the last work session and make suggested changes that I can sort of glean from the minutes and bring back a revised proposed ordinance for further review.
Okay, item B is an update on the internal investigation directed by Judge Keith Barber. At this point, several employees, several elected officials have been interviewed by Attorney Tom Peterson, who Judge Barber enlisted to handle the investigation. He has not completed his interviews at this time. He's got a few more to go. I know he intends to, according to Judge Barber, can do some more this week, and hopefully, this week or next week, that will be completed, and then he will issue a report. So at this time, that's where we are. That investigation is ongoing, and it is being conducted totally by and overseen totally by Judge Barber, and that's all the information that this council has at this point. I'm going to make one more announcement, and then City Manager Cheshire has an announcement to make, and then any other announcement from council. There will be a dedication this Saturday, July 19th, at First St. John. Second St. John. I always want to call it first. I don't know why. But Second St. John, which is there on Fair Road, for the McDougal Parkway, a section of Fair Road that will be named the McDougal Parkway. It will be at 11 a.m. and invite everybody to attend. I think it will be a nice ceremony. I know there are a lot of folks that are planning on attending that.
I got just one item. I've asked Jason Boyles to assume the interim city engineer position during the time that I'm the interim city manager, and he's accepted to do so. Jason and I have already met with the engineering staff and shifted some of the duties, and I want to name those as being Brad Deal, David Hendricks, and Marcos Trejo, and they have each really stepped it up the last couple of weeks, and done whatever I've asked for them to do, and whatever Jason's needed, and they're doing that, and they've all agreed, and they're doing it, no increase in salary, so that's admirable, certainly, and I'm really pleased with the way it's given them, and they see it as an opportunity as well, as I do myself, to give us a chance to do some other things and experience some other things. I appreciate what they're willing to do so far, so Jason, appreciate what you're doing as well.
Does council have any business?
Well, Wayne, I just wanted to ask, I know you had brought to us before a loose proposal for Fox Lake to extend that water and sewer. Do you have, that was just, tell me where we're at with that.
I am in the process, of course, I'm on vacation right now, and I'm still working on it. We've got the...
After you're done tanning.
Right. I will prepare, I don't see any point in hiring engineers to do something as simple as a 2-inch force main down the side of the road. I will get some drawings made up and get some quotes So I put together realistic cost estimates and come back to you.
Okay, so we are moving forward on
Yes,
this.
we
All
are
right,
moving
that's all.
forward, and that in turn will then put in a system that as homeowners in that area have a problem with septic tanks, they will be able to go in and install a grinder pump station to connect to that small diameter force main. I would again make you aware that it's not a city requirement. Septic tanks are permitted by the health department. Repairs to septic tanks require a permit from the health department. Once the city makes sewer available within 100 feet of the property line of a property, the health department is not supposed to, by their rules and regulations, issue a permit to either install or repair. So when we get to that point, that's something y'all are going to have to weigh. Because once we put it in, then those 23 homeowners technically cannot get a permit to repair their septic tanks.
Well, wait on before you go. This conversation has opened up another can of worms. Marywood subdivision would like for you to look at that as well.
We have looked at them, and you're looking at about, it's not a simple solution.
I explained that to them, but they would still like for us to.
I will go back and update the figures.
And road plates. I'm just telling you that that conversation opened up a whole can of worms.
Yeah. Marywood, 15 years ago, when we did the cost estimate, did the master plan, was $5.5 million. So I'm going to say that for today's dollars and the street repairs for the cost of payment, you're looking at $15 to $20 million to put sewer in Marywood.
If you could look at that and bring it back to us, even if, I don't care what the number is, as
I
long
will
as we
be
get a
more
number.
than glad to.
All right.
We will do it, and I'll also, we do not have a plan on the roadway, because it was not in the city limits.
Right.
Part of it is go to this corner road area, we'll put you together some numbers.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fair enough.
See, that's what happens when you're an expert, Wayne.
No, an expert lives 50 miles out of town and carries a briefcase.
And comes back from vacation.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I've been asked by, I believe a compadre of yours, somehow got me to do this. The Statesboro Center for the Arts hosts the Emma Kelly Theater. We have a book for each one of you guys. It's a program of what all's going on. And then the book is wrapped in a very nice card that is asking you to participate. And so there's levels of showing your support on that in the past. So if you would please consider supporting your local Statesboro Center for the Arts.
A very worthy cause. Very worthy. Do we have any other business from council? Okay, we'll move to item 15, which is public comments. We only have one person that has asked to speak, and that is Mr. Bill Thomas. Please approach the podium.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. For about 8 years, I've been coming before this body to discuss various things that concern me as a concerned citizen. One of the things that I've tried to do, and the many times that I've addressed this body, is to be respectful, to respect the position, if not the person. And I know that sometimes that's been a little bit difficult. I've noticed in the community, a lot of the friends that come to these things and notice you on camera have noticed you, some of you have the tendency to roll your eyes. I would just ask that you extend me the same courtesies I extend to you as we work through these issues that I bring before you. Specifically today, I want to talk to you about an issue that we visited about 2 years ago. Happened at 235 Vista Circle. Over $2,600 in late fees were never charged to that property. No cutoff fees. The water wasn't cut off. And it so happened that the person who owned that property was a son of a bonded, sworn constitutional officer of the city. Over $8,000 in charges. Many unexplained credits were given to the account. Never had an explanation on any of those credits. But suffice it to say, it was over $8,000 in a gift to a city employee who happens to still work for the city. Recently, it came to my attention that that has been going on again at that very property. I do understand the property was sold in November. But again, the water bills rose up over $1,040 under that person's ownership. And again, there were a number of credits given to the account that never were really explained. It's awfully fishy. I understand Mr. Leapart conducted an investigation the last time I brought this up and made such a big deal about it. Mr. Leapart was able to clear that constitutional officer of any wrongdoing, and also pointed out that there was absolutely no nepotism involved. I understand that this employee in question, who's been using the city's money illegally, has been promoted and given a raise subsequent to this finding. I'd like for the mayor's words to ring true in that we are good stewards of taxpayers' money. And I did appreciate Mr. Lewis earlier in the evening saying that we need to treat everybody fairly. And we do, because I don't know of anybody else that can have their water not paid for 5.5 years and not be cut off. I've seen accounts cut off for 54 cents in short pay with no compassion. And I don't think we're treating the citizens of Statesboro fairly when we allow an employee of the city to get in arrears over $8,000 for 5.5 years. I think that's stealing. I think the employee was stealing. And I think the person who allowed him to do that was also wrong.
Mr. Thomas, you've hit the 3-minute mark.
Okay. Well, thanks for the extra minute. I appreciate it. And I do hope that you guys can address this situation equitably. Thank you.
I move to item number 16, which is consideration of a motion to enter into executive session to discuss real estate and potential litigation in accordance with OCGA 50-14.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So we please clear chambers.
Yes, sir.
Contract to consider a motion to approve. Item number 18 is a motion for the mayor to sign a service delivery strategy amendment. There is no amendment at this time that will be signed, so produced, therefore, or needed. There is no motion for that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Yay.